Hello and welcome to QUIZZY Monday. Well, we had two pretty good games tonight, don't you think? I was especially impressed by two particular standout individual performances, but there were cracking answers right across the board in both Only Connect and University Challenge. So, without further ado, we've got two special guests to bring onto the stream. We've had them before, always good value. We've got Jamie Frier from the Barons from last year's Only Connect. And we have former Mastermind champion and former Only Connect, I think it was semi-finals, was it, Dave?
Right.
Dave McBryan. So we've got a lot of quizzing experience on the show tonight, guys. Welcome. Good to have you back.
Hello.
Good to be back.
We had comments coming in even before everything started. I'm going to put the banner up. Just to remind everybody that QUIZZY Monday is 100% unofficial. So any comments we make here are our views alone, and you can put comments or questions in the chat and we'll quite happily kind of respond to them and see what you have to say. And we had a few comments come in. Catherine Burkett perhaps oversharing. She was going to be with us shortly, just visiting a certain room in the house, presumably the kitchen. Yeah. Miles was getting overly excited. The countdown is nail biting. And Grace is saying, if I keep doing this poorly with QUIZZY Monday, I might just have to step down as vice president of Quiz Bowl. No, don't, Grace. Don't be tempted. You know, form is temporary, class is permanent. So keep up. And Michael, my partner, is just saying a small cameo from Valerie on the side of the screen at the start. So she is nodding ruefully at that. She doesn't like to be on screen. So yeah, welcome everybody. Let's start with Only Connect. What did we make of that game, Dave? What did you think?
I thought it was a good show. It was nearly an incredible comeback on the vowels, because I mean, generally the Steelers had been the better team throughout, and just gradually extending that lead in every round. So yeah, to almost lose that 10-point margin was nail biting finish.
Yeah, I think I said on Twitter, one of the best individual vowels performances I've ever seen on the show. It was absolutely stunning. It, came to nothing, but I think it kind of shows what that team's got, which is really good. So that was the debuggers. Fine, I've got to be careful how I say that. The debuggers or the debugger. Anyway, yeah, careful about pronunciation, phrasing. Jamie, what did you make of the show?
Yeah, again, I think the thing that everyone's going to take away from it is that missing vowels round, because I remember my first episodes, it went quite well. We were behind, and then you just get in a roll, and then you see it, and we kind of came back a couple of times from that. And the opposition said afterwards that they kept seeing it, but just lacking that little bit of confidence to go for it when somebody else is on the roll. And then Mitch Benn as well last year was just exceptional. He had one performance where he just absolutely steamrolled it with really difficult ones as well. So it's like not just getting it quickly, but getting things that are unlikely to be gotten. But the way he just rattled through those time and time again. And I mean, the other team, they only got 1 point in that final round, and that was Kofifi. So, but yeah, so if we'd got that, he'd have got a clean sweep. But yeah, genuinely, I mean, you can see the looks on the faces of all the other five just going, you know what, we might as well not bother, because he's got it. Staggering performance. The game as a whole was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Some really nice questions, a few close misses, but yeah, what a final round.
As I think we've seen in a few Connections Online Quiz League games this week, but when you've got one person who's just a speed demon on the vowels, they can they can rack up a lot.
Yeah, go on, James.
I was about to say, in our quarterfinal when we were against the Dungeon Masters, so many times I could see the answer and it buzzed in, but that split second behind one of the other teams, like I think Charlie absolutely ruined me on a couple when it was just him 3 times in a row, just beat me to the punch by a split second. And so I'd be fascinated to hear from the other team to think, like, how many of them did they know but just got beaten to the punch, because he was quick as well, very quick.
And that is the thing about buzzer quizzing. It's like the two teams can be, to all intents and purposes, level in terms of knowledge and ability, but if one is fractionally quicker to the buzzer. It's like first past the post in elections. You know, you get the seat even if you only got one more vote. You know, if you're a fraction of a second ahead, you know, it can make all the difference. And I guess once you get on a roll, the momentum and the pressure that can generate can really go in your favor. I mean, I don't know, when you were playing the show, did you have a strategy for missing vowels? It's odd for us to be starting with missing vowels. We normally kind of work our way through, but I think that this is such a talking point of the match. Did you have a strategy of just buzz and then work it out, or anticipate, or, you know, Jamie, what was your team, or did you have a strategy at all?
None whatsoever, which was pretty much the theme throughout the entire run. To be honest, we I think in preparation for it, we'd done one connecting wall and that was it, and two like connecting walls and BuzzGrid, and that was it. But no, so I never wanted to buzz until I knew the answer, because there's no point risking losing a point, but also basically giving it to the other team, because then that results in a 3-point swing. So you've lost out there majorly. And so I always wanted to make sure I knew the answer before I buzzed in. A couple of times I buzzed in thinking I knew the answer, and realizing, oh good lord, I actually don't. I've misread it, and then teammate Gareth came in and saved my bacon. But our strategy was more or less play it safe, only buzz in if you know the answer. But then they did get to the point in a couple of games when we were behind, and then my teammate Kieran said he started to think, I need to just buzz if I've got an idea, buzz while I'm working it out. I always did the thing where if I saw an ND, I knew that was an and so I tried to separate either side of the ND, and then you can work it out much more easily from there. But yeah, again, we had US presidents and prime ministers who share a first name, and so you can work outside. But the number of times I knew one but didn't know the other, and then somebody else buzzed in ahead. But yeah, I always wanted to make sure I knew it before I got it. Whereas a couple of other people I spoke to who we played said, yeah, I buzzed and continued to work it out throughout there. And as a quizzer, I don't really like the idea of doing that.
Well, let's see. Well, Dave, what about you? How did your team?
We didn't go in with tactic, which was, I think, probably our biggest mistake, because if we'd practiced before we entered as a team, we'd have realised that our fastest vowel player was Elsa, and we'd have made her the captain, because we ended up losing on a tiebreak in the semi-final. But by the time the tiebreak it got to that tiebreak, we'd kind of obviously been through like 5 games, so we had a fair idea. And I was thinking to myself, right, do I just press it the instant it comes up, and in the hope that I will get it within a second and be able to just see the answer, give the answer? And I gave serious consideration to doing that. And what stopped me doing it was, unfortunately, I had in some of the backstage chat, I had chatted to a member of another team in an earlier heat that had also gone to a tiebreak, and they told me what that tiebreak was, and it was quite a long sentence. I thought, if it's another long one like that, I don't want to. If they're on to doing long ones, and they probably used a lot of the easy tie breaks by now, so I thought, no, I better at least get a look at it. And then it came up, and it was a really short, easy one. It was you win some, you lose some. So I went for it almost instantly, but just got beaten to the buzzer.
Interesting. Yeah, Michael McPartland's put up, if it's one you need to work out, only buzz when you know. If it's a short, straightforward buzzer race kind of set, buzz and then work out. And that reminds me of when I was on and we were against Helen Lipple and Simon Coppell's team. Can't remember what they were called. I think it might be Felinophiles. But there was a set on football stadiums. So it's like, I'm going to know this. When as soon as it comes up, I'm going to know. So, my tactic was to buzz in. And even then, she beat me on Main Road, which still ranks. And
then sometimes you've got the ones where the category comes up and you know what one of them is going to be.
Yes.
They had in that semi-final fit, they had a group on things from Denmark, And we just knew they were going to put Sandy Toksvig in there. And Elsa and I, both as 15-1 winners, were determined we weren't going to miss that one. The other team were also waiting for it, but thankfully we got in. Just the minute it flashed up, we're straight in.
We had exactly the same thing. There was, what was it? Things that are not spaniels. And all six of us were hovering, waiting for King Charles to appear. And again, the second it did, you just heard 6 buzzers go bash.
Yeah.
And it's just, who's connects first?
Yeah, I remember we had, again, it's that sort of thing that Dave was saying about, and knowing something's going to come up, and it was things that you can do at the YMCA. And so I was going through the song, you can have a good meal, but I could only keep one in my memory because you're looking out for the combination of vowels at the start, consonants at the start that will give you that answer. And it just meant that I ignored the first 2 or 3 because I was just waiting for that one to come up. But it's a tricky one because I think when you've got the complicated ones where things are shifting around like you had tonight, the last category which Michael said, where were I? Sorry. The title of the last category took so long to read out, it probably cost a chance of getting an extra missing vowel in. And even more annoyingly, it was a category I like the sound of, and we'll never get to hear the other 3 questions. But that does get me. But that was one where you just needed that little bit of extra time to kind of pass what was going on and work out that if it's major, then what's below. That sort of one, you don't really want to be buzzing in too early just in case you don't see it.
And I think more often than not, you can tell when somebody has buzzed in knowing the answer, but they're doing it carefully. Because like that, the one from last week, which was Young, Stills, Crosby and Nash, or whatever that combination was, which was staggering. You could tell that they knew the answer, but were just going through it carefully because one minuscule slip up and you lose the point. So I think you can tell when someone knows it and they're going carefully between when they're working it out on the fly, which I don't think goes down very well.
Yeah, back in the day when I was on, and the vowels was time limited. There was also the technique of saying it very slowly to avoid giving too much time to your opponents, which is a little bit, that and the wall stall on the wall is a little bit like taking the ball to the corner flag in football. Talking of which, we have a comment from Charles Commins. He runs It's All Cobblers to Me, which is a Northampton Town Football Club podcast, and also during Euros ran a brilliant podcast called It's All Euros 2020 to Me. So if you want a podcast done, he's your man. Anyway, just saying, he's saying, hey, Gareth and Valerie, managed to get all the murders and even a sequence of Spice Girls. And with those correct answers, my quiz career is probably over. Quizzing is hard. I think sometimes we forget what we were seeing tonight was really good quizzing. There were some absolutely stonking answers in the show tonight.
One of my favourite ones happened quite early on in round 1, and that was the 24-hour clock.
That was a really good spot.
Yeah, because I mean, at first my thought was, okay, what happens 8 minutes into an episode of Only Connect? Like, as Victoria's monologue just finished, but and then also I thought, hang on, this looks a time one. Then a second clue came up, and I was like, this is most definitely a time thing. But it wasn't very difficult, that one. I think as soon as you work out there's something going on here over the time, but it's a really nicely put together question, I thought. Yeah, and it's good they got it after 2 because
it's seeing it, isn't it? It's that point of recognition that twigs. Yeah, go on, Dave.
No, because that was definitely the answer of round 1. I mean, it was the only one that they answered for more than 3 points, but. And I think it was they got it before I did. Very well done.
Michael McPartland, of course, would beg to disagree and say Middlesbrough Sheffield for 5 points was question of the night. Nothing to do with the fact that he's from Middlesbrough. But yeah, I think if you kind of tune in, he's like North Yorkshire, South Yorkshire. That's a pretty good one. And as Harry says, once you see Charlotte and Charleston, it's a good geography question.
Yeah, nice question too.
I did feel that, like in today's episode, it seemed like there were more knowledge-based questions, like a lot more general knowledge ones where you have to know the things to get the answer right, rather than in previous weeks there have been a lot more puzzly ones that I've noticed. So yeah, there seemed more of a you got to know the things rather than work out the things.
Yeah, I guess there was. Things like the tip was general. Alcohol isn't exactly general knowledge, but yeah, there were quite a few. My 5-pointer of the night was the eon to epoch sequence, and that's either you know your geological timescales or you don't.
Yeah, and that is straight general knowledge. As soon as you think Eon, and they mentioned the power company. As soon as you think, how can there be a sequence of power companies? And well, firstly, I was with N Power, and then I moved to Eon, and then it's not going to be that. So as soon as you realise that it has to be geological periods, as you say, you either know it or you don't. But if you do know it, it's a 5-pointer.
And also,
that's not quite true. If you can think of the names of categories, but you're not sure what order they come in, then you'll get it. Then you can get it for a 2, because I think it went dead. But if you're not sure which is longest, then you take 3 clues. Epoch's the only one left. But if you know the scale, it's a 5.
Yeah, we missed out on the actual answer there. We knew the sequence, but I went for age because I forgot about epoch.
So did I, because I'm rubbish at it. Gerard, good point. Actually, the bravado of going in, it could have been 1, and then we could have had out, or it could have been anagrams of
that's a very good point. Saying you got it for 5 and actually pressing the buzzer and going for 5 in the studio is a very different matter. Because it could potentially be do other things. There were quite a few on the show where we thought, it's probably this on the first 2, but we better take the second to be safe.
One more clue. I mean, again, Michael, Eon have sponsored the FA Cup. You could, if they were being sneaky, look at FA Cup sponsors.
I mean, possibly, but it would be unusual for them to. I think it would be unusual for them to do that without the proper punctuation in Eon.
True. Here we go. Eon, Budweiser, no one, Emirates.
Just a little shout out to that other team captain who recognised, who knew the 541 million years of the current.
When the Cambrian Euros.
Pull that one out of the bag.
I have to admit, I'd only got 2 significant figures there. I was saying 540 in my head.
I was going eons and eons. That was as far as I was going. But no, that was I highlight that as an outstanding moment of the match, actually, because it got him nothing. It didn't get him any points, but a lot of kudos. I liked the again, there's a little bit of play. The Octavia Spencer, Novak Djokovic, Declan Donnelly, Janet Ellis. That was nice.
I thought that was what I really liked about that one. It was very only connected. Was the fact that they didn't go kind of Sep, Oct, Nov, Deb. They actually went across to the next year, and so it's easy to kind of. I thought that was cheeky.
I wasn't so keen on that just because of the possible thing. I was initially thinking, it's a name based on 8, 9, 10. Are they looking for someone whose name is based on 11?
But you'd have been given that as an alternative sequence.
I suppose you would. I mean, if you could come up with somebody named after 11.
11 from Stranger Things.
There you go.
There you go, yes. Possibly, that would be a bit iffy. The one that a few people have commented on getting is the Spice Girls one.
Yeah.
Once you realise that the M/WDYTYA is denoting a double A side. The route in there was the Who Do You Think You Are bit, I think. They got 2 become 1 and then struggled a little bit at getting Wannabe, but picked it up in the end.
That was a nicely done one. I think we went. I think I accidentally went for Goodbye because I wasn't sure if it was Christmas number 1s or, but yeah, I was put right by my wife who knows these things much better than I do.
I think, Lindsay and I got this pretty much simultaneously with each other on the second clue.
But again, it's so nice to have that kind of question, which is both really difficult, but also you need a certain knowledge to get it as well. It's not all, as we said quite a few times, especially with Only Connect, it's not all highbrow, and we can argue about what is highbrow, what's lowbrow, but it's really nice to have a question that people who wouldn't normally get many points on this, like as you can see from the comments, so many people are going, yes, I've got that. This is my question, and it's nice to have those.
Yeah, I oh, hello, Catherine. Say, Valerie popping things up on screen. My level was found on the Spice Girls question. Don't do yourself down, Catherine. You're a good quizzer, and actually, again, there's also no shame in being really good at pop culture stuff. You know, it's an area of knowledge, and it's a legitimate area of knowledge. So if that is your level, it's a good level, and I approve of your level. I really like this one, which Gerard is saying was frustrating. The Eternal Sunshine.
Oh, yeah. I missed. I didn't get it, but yeah, great question.
It was glorious. That I really like that. We've got some other suggestions for something 11th. We've got Hen, and Hen Brune for being. I have to say, I've never heard of anyone called Hen, but
yeah, Hen isn't specifically the 11 though, is it? It's because it's like Hen decagon. Hen is just the prefix for the extra one, so you'd need Hen dec somewhere.
Yeah,
I think.
Going way beyond my my knowledge of maths prefixes, it has to be said. But I say, I think there's some cracking questions in round 1 and round 2. A nice blend, some little wordplay, some word association, some knowledge, anagrams of Lion King. That was an absolute kick yourself one when you didn't get it. Valerie got on this on I can't remember if it's the last clue or before, but you know, and it was one of those where I was thinking, oh, is it something that can go before Alan and go before cars and go before Famouse? I don't know what Famouse is. I was overthinking it way too much. But,
we were going down the route of kind of words in other languages. I didn't know whether the Famouse was like father in a different language. But then once I think the combination, but it came up, I thought, oh yes, so I got it just as they got it. But the problem is, right from the very first question, I saw Alan, and I thought, oh, I wonder if this is an anagram, and I didn't go for Nala. I went for the other anagram of Alan, and I thought it's not going to be this.
Yeah, I thought it was a very well constructed question.
Sorry, just got that. Yeah. Oh, I'm too pure. Okay.
I thought it was a very well constructed question in that the third and fourth ones were things that were more obviously not words, so that got you clue. That prompted me to start thinking anagrams. I got it on the fourth clue.
Number on Twitter who thought the Loin King description was a mistake. So it's characters from the Loin Knig. That was a nice one. Then we had the Wars. So we were 5-10 going into Wars. Didn't feel like a reflection of the match, but I guess it was, because obviously that was how it's being played. It felt a little bit more even than that. And then we got into the Walls, and there was something that happened in both Wars where people described a synonyms group using one of the words within the group, which I was surprised was accepted. I mean, we kind of know.
Well, it's quite often happens that because to avoid doing that, you need to think of a fifth synonym, and the setters will probably have come up with put most of the best ones in there already. But you can kind of get away with they all mean the same thing.
I mean, I generally, like, if I'm ever doing it on kind of a PuzzGrid or at home, I'll just say the synonyms of, and then just the one that wasn't in the red herring from that group, or just synonyms of each other, and that kind of, because at that point you know what the answer is. It's just how do you articulate it, and sometimes that can be harder than knowing the answer because you know it. But think, how do I say this? Because sometimes it can be so complicated.
Yeah.
Charles has put, could you rewind? It's just taken me 5 minutes to work out the other anagram of Alan.
As in Lana Del Rey. That's what I'm talking about.
I've forgotten what I was going to say there. He's dragged me down to
the walls.
Sort of the walls. So I was going to make a really cogent and interesting point. But yes, you mentioned PuzzGrid. And actually, that's something we've not talked about on here. So if people don't know, PuzzGrid is a website where you can construct Only Connect style walls, and you can play a shed load of Only Connect style walls. I can't remember. Is it PuzzGrid.com? Do you remember, Jamie? Yeah. So just to highlight that, Jamie creates walls, and you can play them, and it makes me often swear. But for anybody,
I've just been creating a couple of them today, but not for PuzzGrid, for Connections Online QUIZZY.
Yeah, so PuzzGrid's really good if you want to get better at walls. Connections Online Quiz League, you may have missed the launch of the new season of that. And that's for anybody who wants to play basically Only Connect without actually getting on the show. It's possible there might be scope for stragglers to come on and join some teams. So have a look at quizcentral.net if you're interested. I played my first Connections Online Quiz League match a few days ago, and yeah, quite a humbling experience.
In fairness, you were up against one of the very best teams from last season. So.
Yeah, and I did get a 5-pointer when I recognised Bobby Moore's famous tackle, and then realised that sequence had to lead to Nobby Styles. So yeah, thank you, Badil Skinner and the Lightning Seeds, for that one moment of glory in an otherwise humbling match.
I think for anyone who missed out on getting in for this season, the first game of the week video ought to be going up, I believe, so before too long. But they should have started appearing weekly, so you'll get to see. You can see. They make reasonable viewing. You know, they're a good substitute for when Only Connect is off air.
Yeah. Thankfully, mine wasn't filmed. So.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, is it something that you have to kind of commit to every single week, or is it something that kind of you play every now and again?
If you're going to join the league, you need to sign up and play for an 11-week season. So we said we're going to do one game a week, but you can schedule that game at any time you want.
David,
okay, so it doesn't have to be the same day. Cool.
How did you get on last week, Gareth? I forget. Yeah, I wish you'd forgotten a lot more stuff last week, David. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, back to the walls. And the first wall, Dawn Start, Widow Ceiling, Falls, it's quite nice. Grinding, I thought, was a good.
I thought that they were. I had difficulty with both of those groups. I didn't. I mean, they're both perfectly fine. Only Connect groups. I just didn't spot either of them in time, or at least not before they did on the show. I actually did much better on the second wall, which the contestants found harder.
Oh right, I was the same as the opposite to you. I kind of we got through wall one fairly. Probably would have got about 7 on that because it didn't see grind at all. But I think once it resolved, we would have got there. But I thought as soon as she said grind, I thought, oh, that's great shout there. I didn't see that one coming. But yeah, the crazes, the falses were pretty clear. I thought the Harrison Fords. I think I would have known 2 of them. So I got the other 2, but yeah, I thought that was a good balanced wall of kind of a little bit of a fair bit of wordiness and a bit of knowledge. Whereas the second one, I was just absolutely beyond like the obvious kind of synonyms for kind of
sad.
What's this synonyms for? Sad. I was just absolutely going around in the dark, and so that's why this show is so interesting, because you got 2 people sitting here who had completely opposite experiences of the 2 same walls.
It was going to be a little bit more knowledge based in that, you know, I think the false and grind were both sort of language ones. The whales required a bit more. Harrison Ford was definitely knowledge. In the first one, I spotted Harrison Ford and the crazy synonym straight away. I had difficulties with false and grind. In the second wall, whale. Sad it was Lindsay, my wife, sat next to me, but got the bells group, and we both homed in on symphonies. I'd be interested to see if somebody got that, how much precision they were requiring. You know, if somebody said nicknames for symphonies, would they have insisted on 6th?
Well, that was what I was wondering, because I looked at it and said, oh, these are kind of terms describing pieces in classical music, and I was wondering if it was like kind of translated into English. I was thinking of pathétique to pathetic and pastoral and whatever. I wouldn't have got 6 symphonies. in a million years. And for me, that's kind of a later stages of the competition level of granularity. But yeah, we'll never know. I think one of the problems for the team that went second, the debuggers, was that they got really hung up on blue being in the Wales group, I think.
Yeah, well, blue was in 3 groups.
Well, yes, and down as well. Yeah, so that was quite tricky. But yeah, I mean, they did well. Does it come down to a highbrow, lowbrow thing? You know, the lowbrow. You know, I see Harrison Ford films, and I'm just thinking, okay, what's the fourth? And somebody goes, oh, look at that. Oh, well, that's symphonies. Oh, and they're all the. You know, maybe that's just kind of a cultural frame of reference thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some people can see, you know, well, as Dave does, the symphony straight away, whereas I didn't have the foggiest on that. Whereas Harrison Ford films, oh yeah, there we go, it's there. So it's just your lived experiences and your interests, I guess, that set those two things apart.
Having said that, I'm not aware that I spotted the three Harrison Fords straight away, and I'd have been button pressing to find the fourth, to find Firewall. I wasn't aware of that film.
Yeah, it's just Firewall couldn't really go anywhere else, could it?
No. Yeah, it's process of elimination with that one from the other 3 groups.
Yeah, Gerard is saying they were 6 symphonies. I missed that and wouldn't have got it. Mind you, Gerard also said, linking Bobby Moore's tackle to Nobby, why is my mind in the gutter tonight? Well, Gerard, is it ever anywhere else?
If it helps, I thought exactly the same thing, but thought I'll stay quiet on this one.
Indeed. Right, well, we kind of just have to take a pause to look at what's been going on in all things quiz very briefly, and then we'll move on to University Challenge. But just add this to the stream, and obviously this is QUIZZY Monday. Just to announce the winners of Quizzer of the Week and Quiz Team of the Week, the votes we have been having since Friday. Pat Gibson won Quizzer of the Week for winning the Quest Quiz Grand Prix this month. Marianne Fairthorn's performance in OQL USA got her a share a second. And Paul Sinha actually had a great week across multiple tournaments. So well done to all 3 of those for their first and joint seconds. Quiz Team of the Week, the winner is University of Florida. They won the ACF Nationals, which is one of the 2 major Quiz Bowl tournaments in the USA. They won that last weekend. So congratulations to Florida. The American vote came out. Second was Quiz Machine Kills Fascists, who are a team in OQL, and they had a great performance in the Cup. And third was Danny Dyer's Chocolate Homunculi from OQL USA, the team that I think Marianne plays for. So well done to them. We released our latest answer in need of a question on Sunday morning, and that answer was tomorrow. We've now got the vote open to try and find the shortlist. So you can now vote from now onwards at tinyurl.com/WITQ tomorrow. That's tinyurl.com/WITQ tomorrow. There's 20 plus questions to choose from. Pick your favorites from a set of groups, and then we'll put the winners of those groups to a final vote and announce the winners in Quiz Week. And a reminder that we had our interview with the newly crowned world quizzing champion, Ronnie Schwiggers. That's still up on All Things Quiz. I think that's the last of the slides. And the only thing to remind you of is we do have Quiz Week, which comes out on Friday morning. Look out for that. If you want to hear about the world of competitive quizzing, a little bit of TV in there. Last week we talked about Jeopardy in America, but also a lot about quiz leagues and quiz tournaments. So look out for that. Okay. Oh, hello. That's a different formulation. I prefer that one. So let's go back to that. Oh, hang on. Michael is saying Team Northeast was robbed. You just didn't get your vote out, Michael. Didn't get your vote out. So, University Challenge. Now, this was, we had an absolutely blistering performance in Only Connect, blistering individual performance in vowels. Hutchinson, for Reading, had one of the best individual performances we've seen in this series of University Challenge. He got 3, 6, 8.
8 starters.
Yeah, 8 starters, and he was absolutely superb. I mean, I thought it was a good match. I didn't think Strathclyde were a bad team. I just don't think they could get in enough.
No.
Dave, what was your take on proceedings?
Yeah, he definitely had. I think Buzz of the Evening was actually his first one. The coming in as early as he did on the Borodin question was an incredible buzz.
Oh yeah, I wrote down that the Borodin buzz on aldehydes, and it was just what the hell. I mean, that's just clearly something. It's probably a little bit like knowing that Nabokov was a lepidopterist. You know, it's one of those things. But or the buzz you did against my team in QB League on Bismuth the other week. Yeah, so another humbling defeat. But anyway, yes.
Really bitter today, Gareth.
Just losing every quiz I'm playing, Jamie. That's what's happening.
I was very surprised that was the first do. It's about the only thing I know about Bismuth.
So yeah, sorry. You were saying about that Borodin one.
Absolutely great buzz. I mean, several of his others, I think, were more sort of poachers, particularly things like the when he got 5, the one about the slightly where the question was too convoluted for the Strathclyde guy. It asked for the number represented by the Roman numeral that shares a symbol with the chemical element named after a Norse in group 5. And he worked through several stages of it, but forgot the very last step and answered vanadium instead of 5, and basically handed it to Hutchinson on a plate. But there were a lot of good ones, and ones where integral was the other sort of poach, where you come in after the other guy's wrong guess of differential. But that doesn't take away from so many ones where it was just fastest, or on something like Borodin, just streets ahead of anybody else, I would imagine.
Yeah,
I thought Strathclyde, it was more of a rounded team performance. I think Kirsch, Laird, and Monaghan all got their share.
I
did think with Reading that Unsley was a very good, very able deputy. Like, pretty much, if ever Hutchinson didn't know something, 9 times out of 10 he seemed to just turn to her, and she'd more often than not seem to think, this answer is going to be didn't know, but this answer is going to be in the ballpark.
I think she's doing a good job of filling in the gaps in his knowledge.
And because as I say, like, they weren't definite, I know this answer, this is the answer. It's, I think this could be it, and it was. I kind of liked even more the fact that she kind of had that kind of rough idea and got it, but on quite a few things, and on quite an array of things as well. So yes, I thought she was kind of very important in a kind of the secondary way. She was the deputy. But
she got him off to a very good start, actually, because she got, I think, the first 2 buzzes of the match.
That's right.
I think that was really good. The Reigns one, she was given a little bit of leeway, perhaps because it was the first question. The Mexican wave one, which again, I think it was not, it's a nice, friendlier starter, but she still beat the other 5 players to get in on it. But then,
I thought it was going to be a bit of a one-sided affair at the start, and then an impressive comeback to come. I think came back to within 10 points.
Yeah,
at one point, Strathclyde, and then just
they had a good middle of the game, but then a couple of crucial negs in the final third.
Yeah. Catherine's just raised point, because the Pet Shop Boys question had my brain whirring into gear, because as soon as he was reading it, I was reciting the lyrics in advance about from Lake Geneva to the Finland station, and I was thinking, oh crap, what is the song though? Because in my head I could hear it, and it was like
I was the same. Although I'm ashamed to say I never realized that that's what the lyrics were referring to. I completely recognized the lyrics, but and obviously I knew about Lennon's route. I never put the 2 together.
Yeah, I mean it's something so familiar can be tricky. Slightly unfamiliar was the Reggaeton bonus set, which I really liked, but I particularly liked the fact they fell into exactly the same trap as I did when they were saying which North American performer is rapping along to this, and I thought North American, that'd be Canada, Justin Bieber, and for the umpteenth time, it's Drake.
I
said that at home, but then I realized, no, hang on, because the starter was Despacito, wasn't it? So it was unlikely to be Bieber again.
Yeah, true.
But it was a nice change of pace, though, wasn't it? In terms of kind of a few of the questions that had gone before. I felt there's quite a lot of history-based questions. Then all of a sudden, throwing in reggaeton was quite. Again, so as we were talking earlier about diversity of questions and the importance of that and bringing that element into it, because all knowledge is equal and valid. My wife Zara kind of sat and went, I know these, I love these. And so it's just so good to have that kind of that range of questions to really test your all-round game. Like you can read any number of books and learn any number of things, but you have to kind of almost certainly listen to the music to know that kind of area to get that kind of thing. And there was some really nice. It's a nice change of pace. Although I did think that was Paxman reading that particularly slowly.
It's possible. I think we have to. I think now that we know Paxman's got Parkinson's, I think we have to give allowances for the fact that that may affect the speed of his reading. And at the end of a long day, there could be an impact on that. It's
I haven't noticed it in the kind of the rest of the episode. And that
I think the last couple of years he's slowed down a touch from his peak speed, definitely.
But I mean, sometimes I think particularly if words are unfamiliar, he might take a little bit longer now than he would have done previously. He might have just said what he wanted to say and you live with it.
That's what I was wondering, if it's just an unfamiliarity, maybe. But it's good.
Gerard says about the reggaeton set, it wasn't for me, but don't mind a bit of reggaeton if it enrages people with a limited idea of what quizzing should involve. And again, that goes back to kind of the canon expansion. I also was seized with this notion of whether there might be a Bridgerton spin-off called Reggaeton. It just suddenly appealed to me that could be a possibility. And Catherine says, I was today years old when I found reggaeton was from Puerto Rico. Well, there you go. I mean, the great thing about shows like this is you can learn stuff. That's really good. Talking of stuff you probably didn't need to learn, Jamie. Football Latin mottos. I'm assuming you did rather well on that.
Everton I knew straight off the bat because that's quite a well-known one. Man City was a blind guess just because of a little bit like Hutchinson. You knew it wasn't Man United, so confident it wasn't Arsenal. So kind of it was between them and Chelsea, and if they'd said Chelsea, I think I would have known it. But it was interesting. Yeah, two of the three there. And I was
we'd made a good team then because I got the other. I got one of the three, but it was the other one. I got Blackburn Rovers. But it was. I freely admit I'm terrible at football. It was a blind guess on pick one of the original 12 teams. I got lucky.
Yeah, I was waiting for Tottenham's, which is ironic. I've never done Latin, so I can't pronounce it, but it's Ordere est facere. Or along those lines, and that's I think winning is easy, which is very ironic. Well, until yesterday, at least.
Indeed. Another bonus I like. No, it wasn't necessarily the bonus I like. It was the answer, which was in New Orleans in fiction. Was the Red Dead Redemption 2? It was that plaintive adding of the 2. I really like that. I thought that was really cute. I mean, there were lots of good answers and lots of entertaining stuff. I mean, I thought and also lots of some percentage guesses on buzzes. Like Telephone by Kirsch.
Yeah.
So we talked about it before, and interestingly, after last week, where we thought both teams looked a bit nervous, and one of the teams actually commented on QUIZZY Monday's video and said, we were a bit nervous. And it does take balls to buzz in with something which could potentially make you look stupid or foolish.
Absolutely.
But, you're there to win the match. So you're going to have to buzz.
On that theme, I think one of my highlight moments of the episode was when it was the pitch around and they're trying to identify the films. And like, Wicker Man? It's not Wicker Man. There's no way it can be Wicker Man. Wicker Man? Oh, it's Wicker Man. And that just highlights the importance of always giving an answer, regardless of how wrong it could be. Always, unless the question is kind of what's the word for a gap between two mountains, never say pass, because you just give yourself a chance to win. And I mean, as we've discussed before, you can run the risk of getting a horrendous nickname for yourself that will stick for a long time, but you might get a point, and I think that's more worth it. So always throw out a guess.
Unless you're in a format where there's minus points, like missing vowels or interrupting a starter in University Challenge, that any answer is better than no answer.
Yeah, it's best to throw something out. Just to remind people who maybe didn't see your first appearance on this show, Jamie, what is that unfortunate nickname that you got from 15 to 1?
It is Flaps. Because the question, which I only listen, and that's another lesson to learn, always listen to all the question. Because the question, what's the name for the folded skin under a turkey's neck? And while I was trying to think of, I know the answer, I can't think of the answer, I'll say a synonym for folds, hoping. Sandy was also saying, and there's also a building material used with daub. And if I'd heard that part, I'd have said wattle, because I knew that. But I didn't know the folded skin under turkey's neck. I said flap. And now my nickname at work forever will be Flaps. I tried to get rid of it by submitting the word wiener when I was on Countdown, but that hasn't overtaken it somehow. I really wanted to, when I was only connected, I didn't know the answer, just guess at Adonis or Hunk, but I didn't have the bravery to try that.
Yeah, I think that's very optimistic if you think that. So yeah, I'm just looking at some of the other answers. I thought Gondor was a nice kind of hesitant answer by Laird. I just generally thought.
Sorry, Rondell, you say?
Was it? I might have noted it down. It was the Lord of the Rings characters.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was hesitant though. I think his buzz was he immediately said by reversing the two syllables of the Lord of Rivendell. And he buzzed on because he knew Elrond, but he hadn't reversed the syllables yet. So I think if what hesitancy there was just him rearranging the syllables after his after the buzz. So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
but his face the picture.
Yeah, you do get that kind of angst when you're in the midst of an answer like that. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the other buzzes. I would say Hutchinson, I thought was just, one or two standout players tonight. But some of them, Ghent, kind of the obvious one. I wonder if there was a buzzer race on that.
It didn't seem to be because it went past altarpiece, which should have been the buzzer piece. Should have been the buzzer race word. It went quite a bit past that before someone went for it.
Yeah. We got a discussion now going on the stock answers for certain nationalities, which is always a good thing of having somebody in your back pocket that you can say. So which Japanese Sato, which Frenchman Martin. If it's Korean, it's Kim or Park, isn't it? And Michael's thrown in Suzuki for which Japanese, Muller for German, silver for Brazilian is so often correct because silver or de silver is just common. But I guess again, having these things in your back pocket, having that one anthropologist or one Bolivian unicyclist, if you've got those people that you can call on, it's very, very
good. I had a jackpot question in one of my pub quizzes a couple of weeks ago where the jackpot actually went on this. It was about Welsh player in the GB hockey team at the Olympics, and they could have got it by just guessing Jones. And did. it was Sarah Jones.
I mean, it's slightly less common, but on 15 to 1, there was a question which was which epic poem, and then the question continued, and I barely listened to any of it because I thought regardless of what she's going to say for the rest of the question, I'm just going to say, oh, no, I've completely forgotten what it was.
Gilgamesh?
Oh, no, German.
Beowulf.
Beowulf, that's it, yeah. And so, gosh, I'm glad I didn't do that when I was on the show. Yeah, and I just thought, regardless of what you say for the rest of this, unless you, I'm going to just say Beowulf for whatever it is, and yeah, just having that one thing in the back pocket, like there's a good chance it's going to be that.
Yeah. I mean, the listening to the question. I mean, this is kind of quizzing 101 stuff, but it's so obvious, but it's so easy to not do. And like in something like Mastermind, a number of times I've had questions where I decided early on I wasn't going to know the answer. So then I'm thinking up a plausible wrong answer that I can throw out and ignoring the fact that more information is being given to me. And I end up giving an answer which is very, very badly wrong. There was a question that I've said about it before about Cuba, but I just thought, it's somewhere in Central America, so I said Belize. But had I realized they then went on to say island, I wouldn't have said that. And there was one about
I did worse than that. In the final, I was asked a question that started off talking about public-private things. I thought, okay. So I immediately jumped to my head. Oh, this is the public-private initiatives, PPIs. But then it went on to say PPPs stands for public-private what? And I just said initiative, but PPP is public-private partnership, of course. So I'd basically been asked what P and answered initiative because I didn't listen to the end of the question.
Yeah. So taking
so easy to do.
That time, taking that time to listen to what's being said. There is information being conveyed for a reason. They're not just putting the important words in the first half of it and then padding it out. And you see good players under pressure in all formats of quiz who are just listening and processing without the mind kind of spiraling off in different directions.
And obviously it's different when, like, say you're on tipping point and you've got 30 seconds to try and crack through as many as you can, as opposed to ones where you've got, again, like 15 to 1. I didn't need to rush because there's no time limit on it. So when you got the time to think about it,
15 to 1, but you've got the moment to interpret the question. Not much more. It's 3-second limit.
Yeah. So, but you've got the time to think about it, where you're not kind of properly racing against the clock or against somebody else. It's you versus a limited time spent, but more than you normally have. So, but yeah, that extra time is a problem.
Yeah. Of course, the other thing is the awful feeling of thinking, I know exactly what is being asked here, and I just can't think of it. And in the grand final of 15 to 1 in the first round, there was, what was the name for the part of the book where it gives explanations for technical terms in the book? And I was thinking, well, it's not index. Oh, hang on. It's that. Oh, shit. I've got 3 seconds. And said Thesaurus, and it was glossary, and it was like, I absolutely know what it was, but I just couldn't fetch the word. It was just.
I said many times that I'm 15. Pretty much every episode of my 15 to 1 series, there was sort of 6 or 10 questions that I would have got within 10 seconds, but not within 3. Things that just take too long to, and I was so lucky in both of my episodes that all of those went to other people, because it's so much. It's much nicer to just go out on something you simply don't know. There's something you blatantly do know but can't bring to mind in 3 seconds. Because there were a lot of those questions that could have done me. But, lucky they all went to other people.
That was the galling thing for me on my first 15 to 1. I think I was the 12th person to go, and I think I must have known 9 of the first 11 questions. Then it came to me, and it was a question about a film that I'd never seen. Even when I was given the answer, I've never heard of, and I was like, well, that's annoying. If I've been in any of the other positions, I'd have at least had a stab on, or definitely known it. It's just the luck of the draw, as with those walls on Only Connect tonight. Like, because that was the other thing. Because in our quarter final on Only Connect, if I'd picked the other wall, we would have, I reckon, got 7 or 10 on that wall. But as it was, I picked the other one and we got 2. So it's amazing how it works.
Yeah, we've got another of these come in. So Gerard was a series champion on 15 to 1. I failed to get the cord connecting the mother to an embryo on 15 to 1, but still won somehow. It just, there's a lot of luck in a format like that. And indeed, pretty much any quizzing, the way questions fall in your whether they fall in your lap or not, and whether you're having a good day where things are coming to mind and the inspired guesses are coming and you're kind of linking things together. But it's that's kind of why we love it. It's not entirely predictable. If we just wanted to feed in a question and get an answer out, we'd just be sat in front of a computer. But that human element is what makes it fun. And we did have, let's say tonight we were treated, I think, to 2 good shows, 4 good teams. I think we're certainly going to see a lot more from the debuggers. They look like they're going to be a good team throughout the tournament. It's unfortunate that we're saying goodbye to let me just check Strathclyde, because actually I think they showed to me enough that they actually could, with another chance, do all right. But I think they're probably a little bit out of the running with 100 points. I think even for a low-scoring series, that's probably not.
Yeah, I think so.
110, was it 110? 110, yeah.
110.
Yeah, because they got the last set.
But yeah, I still don't think it'll be enough.
Yeah. So no, I don't think that'll be enough, which is a shame, because I think the casting guys have been doing a really good job with teams, certainly for Only Connect, but also University Challenge this series. Really good teams. Gave us great entertainment tonight. Thanks to you two for joining us. And just a reminder that if you haven't already liked All Things Quiz on Twitter, then please like us and follow us. Please like this video if you've enjoyed it. If you're still with us, 21 people still with us right now. Press like, and if you're not subscribed, please press subscribe. We do this for free, and it's great to get some sort of validation from people that you enjoy what we do. So it's brilliant that you watched, brilliant that you commented. So many great comments in tonight's stream. Really enjoyed what you said. Dave, you want to say anything?
So just before we you wrap up, just a quick word for anyone who's on Brain of Britain this afternoon. Well, don't know if anyone saw, but well done to Alan Hudson. Dominant performance on a notably hard episode. I thought there was far more questions that just stumped everyone, including me, than there is in the average episode. And I should say, slap on the wrist, because he was robbed of a point by. Basically, I'm amazed he didn't appeal. There was a question where he gave a correct answer that wasn't accepted.
I mean, I've not heard it yet, so I'll look out for that.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry about that. The questions.
Yeah.
It was about egg beater kick and which sport it's used in, and. They were looking for synchronized swimming. He guessed water polo, but it's very much used in both.
Okay. Oh, well, interesting. Well, look out for that. And adjudications are part of what makes a lot of these shows interesting. That fine line between acceptability and not. Yeah, brilliant. Well, Dave, thanks so much. I know you're going to be starting up live pub quizzing soon, hopefully.
No, I've got one of them already running, but I've got another one starting on Thursday. Okay,
so well, good luck with all of that. If you're in the Edinburgh area, check out Dave's pub quizzes. Jamie, thanks so much for joining us again. It's been great fun having you all, and it's been great fun with everybody watching. We'll be back next Monday. We've got a good lineup. We've got Selena Conroy, who was on Only Connect last series. She's on. And we've got the entire Durham team from last year's University Challenge. So they're going to be cracking fun. And I've got one other person that I want to try and get on board, because next week is the return of Mastermind and the debut episode of Clive Myrie. So we'll obviously be factoring in Mastermind into the mix in our 100% unofficial and not connected with any show officially QUIZZY Monday. But everybody, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next Monday. Look out for Quiz Week on Friday morning. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, Barry says goodbye.